if you are presented with this situation, somebody getting beaten up on the street, and you are there, and you're going to react, whether it's empathy or walking away or whatever, your reaction will be based on your state of your ego, your intellect, and your mind, and the accumulated karma at that stage. Okay. So your behavior, your reaction will be almost automatic based on all this. Free will doesn't even come in. You're going to act based on the karma at that time.
Yes, as I said, even the free will itself is first of all remove that equation. There is nothing known as that free will itself is not there. Firstly, it is a mistaken thing, and I'm sticking my neck out in saying this. I'm sticking my neck out in saying this. It is an idea which is non-existent, and it has no existence of its own. It is only a transmission gear. The exercising free will is like exercising your transmission gear of the automobile, whether you want to put it in gear, top gear or lower gear, nothing else. It is only acting as an instrument to pass the command. And where the command is coming from, your intellect. And where it is the origin is from the karma. Okay, now let's come to the question which you just asked. We have explained the situation here. We have taken the example, a hypothetical example. What are the possible outcomes? How people are likely to behave? How the society overall will behave towards such a situation? We have discussed about it. And that's all about it. If you are thinking that there is a set uh, formula, correct thing to do, it is not existent. It is not there. If you say that there is something known as, people may question, no, how can you, a person pass like, walk away like that? What happened to the right conduct? What happens to the dharma? What if he is helpless? What can he do about that? It has to match with the feasibility also. What can
So,
anyone do about that?
yeah. So
Yeah, please.
when I look at the human condition and the human being in a given situation, whether he's a thief or a saint, everyone is doing their best based on where they are, their consciousness. Everybody is doing the best of where they are.
Say again. I didn't get that. What your doubt question is?
Yeah. So when I look at a given person in a given situation, he or she is doing the best he or she can based on where he is. Everybody is doing the best, even if the person is a thief or a person is a saint. Everybody is doing their best where
Can
they
I
are.
put it in a different language? The same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
The person is not doing his best. He is being kicked left and right on the street like a football. Sometimes onto the left side of the road, sometimes onto the right side of the road, sometimes again left side, sometimes to the road right side. He has no other choice there. It is not that he is doing his best. He is totally in a helpless situation, whether he likes it or he doesn't like it. It was to happen that way it is happening, and he has got no other choice there. The only choice which is there here is, if he is lucky enough he will find a way out for getting himself free from the entire issue here. Freedom from that karma. Freedom from the karma results in your mind and intellect becoming defunct now. There's nothing left for you to do now in this world. Otherwise, propelled by the karma, there's no other choice for anyone except to undergo through the consequences of the karma. The rest, everything is, you all know that. Egoistic talk. Egoism doesn't permit people to accept this truth. They come out with all their grand philosophies, doctrines, and all that. It's because of this, to this extent, I basically wanted to say this much. I have already mentioned it also in the beginning of my talk. There are 11 people who are standing around an elephant. Everyone is touching the elephant, a particular part, and everyone is saying that this elephant looks like this looks like that, this looks like that. No one is telling anything wrong, but neither it is the whole truth. If someone was to get that vision, he will simply laugh and then will walk away from there. He will not even get involved with arguing with these other guys. See, the problem with spiritualism is most often, which I wanted to actually talk to you today about this. Somehow we got a little bit distracted too long on the aspect of karma. Mostly it is all confusion that is prevailing. It's a total confusion because of lack of knowledge about the overall picture. Everyone is hanging on to certain bits and pieces, some information which he must have read somewhere, which he must have heard from somewhere, and his mind is racing and trying to think something else. So without the clarity about the big picture, people are everywhere, they're getting drowned in utter confusion, to be very frank. Okay, I'll just try and give you an insight. See if you can really get an insight into this. I'll sum it up in a very short frame of time. You know, since ancient times, we have 6 major philosophical systems in India. Since ancient times. Out of the 6 philosophical systems, they usually operate in 2 to buddy pairs. 2 philosophical systems are applied in one go. One acting as the theory, another acting as the practical application. I list out also, no issues for you. The first is called a Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy. Next is yoga, the meditation-based yoga system, which we all are familiar with, which we also call as Ashtanga Yoga or Raja Yoga. So that is the second. And the third is there is something known as logic. The science of logic. Everything is by logic, rational thought. And the fourth is what we call it as Vaisheshika, or the atomic science, atomism. And of course, the fifth one is known as, there's something known as Mimamsa. Means one adhering to all the so-called right conduct, dharma. Just now we were talking what is supposed to be done, what's supposed to be not done, what are the rituals to be performed as per the Vedas, and all that. And the last one is basically Vedanta. So we have the 6 Indian philosophical systems: Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Mimamsa, and Vedanta. Out of these 6, the first 2 Sankhya and Yoga. One is like a theory, another is like the practical application of it. In our path, Shaktipat, you can say that directly applicable with Sankhya philosophy only. Anyway, that is besides the point. What all these things are teaching, if you see, if you see the underlying teaching of all these things, Sankhya and Yoga, they are teaching the meditation-based yoga system. Meditation-based yoga system. Once the Kundalini is awakened, as the karma is getting burned down, be a witness to it. Allow the karma to get burned down. That's all this thing is talking about, these two philosophies. If you come to the logic and Vaisheshika, that is Nyaya and Vaisheshika, it pertains to Jnana Yoga. When it pertains to Jnana Yoga, we have to talk about so many things now here. Systematically, I will have to explain you. On the other day, I was trying to explain you also how the blueprint has been constructed for a human body, how the chakras are there, how the nadis are there, how the sonic blueprint is imprinted on that, how the primordial creation has started from the primordial sound known as Om, how it has descended to become to the Vaikari stage. The entire sequence I will not explain. I will explain to you also, no issue. But it is just an academic stuff. That's all about it. So this logic and this thing, they are basically dealing with that. And also the atomism, how the cosmos has been created. When we say Brahman, what do you mean by Brahman? Is it solar system or is it restricted to our galaxy? When we say various lokas, planes of existence, what they are talking about? What is your idea of God? First of all, at the outset, what exactly you mean by God? How big is this, the idea of that God? It is threadbare. Everything will come threadbare in this. So this all pertains to the path of knowledge, Jnana Yoga. And then we have something known as Mimamsa and Vedanta. Mimamsa is all about, you can say, Karma Yoga, performing your duty with dispassion. You just follow what is the right conduct as per the scriptures. And then lastly, you have Vedanta. Vedanta is all about devotion to God. So when you say devotion to God, as per the Vedanta, here the problem is there are again three schools of thought. The school of monism, Advaita Vedanta, wherein you say that there is no distinction between the soul and the God. Then there is something known as dualism, Dvaita philosophy, where you say that God is different, devotee is different. Eternally, the devotee can never merge with the God. And then we have the third branch of Vedanta, known as Visishta Advaita, which is trying to establish a kind of a reconciliation between these three, between all the three schools of thought. So see, Vedanta, when you talk of Vedanta, there are three schools of thought. Your Kashmir Shaivism, your Vaishnavism, your Shakta philosophy. All earlier we were talking about so many gods and goddesses. Where is the role of all these gods and goddesses? Where do all these gods and goddesses fit in? Here in Vedanta. They will fit in inside this Vedanta. That is the sixth branch of Indian philosophy. So what do you make of all these things now? All are proposing there are four yoga systems only at the end of the day. Either meditation-based yoga system, or the path of knowledge, or the path of duty, karma yoga, or the path of devotion. Yoga systems are only 4. Whether it is yoga system, whether it is tantric system, broadly they are 4. People are using either one or a combination of 2 or a combination of all 4. Doesn't matter. Similarly, out of all the 6 Indian philosophical systems, you follow either one or you follow all. It doesn't matter. But one needs to be very clear what they are doing and what is what. That's what I was trying to say when you say about the broad picture. If you don't and have the broad picture, what will happen? They will hear something from Sankhya philosophy, they will hear something from Advaita philosophy, and they are confused. Total utter chaos. Total utter chaos. Because they have heard something, someone telling them what Advaita philosophy, someone mentioning something great about Kashmir Shaivism. Someone is following Shiva, someone is following Ganapati, someone is following Durga, someone is following some other god. And whereas Sankhya philosophy is saying something, if you see Bhagavad Gita, mostly it is all they are talking about the Sankhya only, Sankhya and Yoga only, mostly. Of course, it talks about other yoga systems also a little bit. Rather, it talks about all the 4. In that way, Bhagavad Gita is a good text in the sense it gives you a broad overall picture about the entire thing, so that a person gets the clarity in this. But most often, what is happening is lack of clarity. Everyone is catching on to something and they are getting emotional about it. They are getting sentimental about it. How will they progress on the path of yoga? Everything has to be done in a systematic way now. You have to get to understand the broad picture. If you can't understand, don't worry. I just told you there are 6 philosophical systems. Don't bother about any of this. Don't bother about anything because our Shaktipat, it covers all the 6 Indian philosophical systems. Whatever all these 6 philosophical systems are saying, it is all covered by the Shaktipat, under the umbrella of Shaktipat. You forget about these philosophical systems, dump them in dustbin, or keep them aside. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any of these systems and all that. Just keep them aside. You focus only on your Guru. Shaktipat has been done on you, and the karma is getting neutralized. Now the problem is people don't want to do that. They are not able to focus on the Guru because Shaktipat occurred for them when they are focusing on the Guru. That's how the process got triggered. So all that they need to do is to keep the mind focused on the Guru all the time, so that the process goes on in an optimum manner. But they are not able to do it understandable because the mind is not designed that way. It is like a monkey. It keeps jumping around all the time. Since the mind is like a monkey, drunk with wine that too, and stung by a scorpion, you can well imagine the state of the monkey now. It is totally restless. It is unable to focus on the Guru. No problem. So what you do, you undertake certain measures so that the mind is always kept engaged with the idea of Guru. We use certain technique, which we call it as service to Guru. You keep serving the Guru in whatever little way when a person can, because that is only an excuse there, so that the mind is always focused on the Guru. So when the mind is focused on the Guru, since the Shaktipat has been triggered when the mind was focused on the Guru, it will now burn down the karma in an optimum manner. And burning down of karma is the fundamental or bottom line in every yoga system, every tantric system, every philosophy. I just told you there are 6 philosophical systems in India since ancient times. I've explained you the basics of all the 6 Indian philosophical systems, and I'll explain you the basic 4 yoga systems which these 6 philosophical systems are propagating. They're boiling down to 4, and all 4 of them they're boiling down to one thing, that is karma. What happens when the karma burns down? It will be a topic for some other video, because it will become too long otherwise if we keep discussing it. Unlike a robot, if you see, when you are creating a robot with an artificial intelligence and a chip in the head, if you remove the data, it will not work. It will become defunct. But in a human being, there is something else which is happening here. That is, when the mind becomes calm because of the elimination of the karma, intellect, there's nothing for the intellect to process, because there is no data only to process. And the mind is not undergoing through any modifications, because there is no karma to throw it into any modification. It is like a calm water. When the mind is like a calm water, there is something at the core of the human being who is watching this entire drama going on the surface. And that gentleman is known as Purusha Tattva, along with Prakriti Tattva. We have not yet gone to the soul. Soul is still far behind. There's a gentleman called, which is known as Purusha Tattva, and then Prakriti Tattva. That means the soul is now called as Purusha and is watching the Prakriti, the nature in front of him. And how he is going to experience that nature between this Purusha and the Prakriti is this 8-fold Maya, which I just told you. The layers have been spun around the soul. So this is the sequence of the creation which happens. We were talking about the Sankhya philosophy, right? That's what the Sankhya is saying that. We have the gentleman known as Purusha, Purusha Tattva. Purusha is basically the soul who is already been screwed. The soul which has already been screwed now is already caught. And then you have 24 tattvas now. Soul, Purusha Tattva, Prakriti Tattva, and then you have intellect, egoism, mind. 5. You have 5 sensory organs, 5 organs of actions, 5 essence of elements, and then 5 the gross physical elements. If you're adding them, you will have about, I think, 24, 25 of them. These are the tattvas as far as the Sankhya philosophy is concerned. When it comes to Vedanta, as per Kashmir Shaivism, they say there are 36 tattvas. See, we are now actually, what is happening here is, we are talking about the birth of a human being, or the transition of a human being from the eternal spirit to a human being on the planet. We are talking about this transition through a different lens, not through the lens of mathematics of the modern science. Remember, you have to remember that. There is no mathematics here to calculate. That's why here it is called the essence of the thing. Or rather, there is something else also which is programmed into that. Call it resonance. How something is resonating with something else in this world. It is not about the calculation. It is all about how something is resonating with something else now. We are yet to drift into this science, which the modern science has still not been able to catch up. I believe it is trying to catch up, but so far it's not much has been accomplished. Okay.